pjnet.tv. It is 9 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States. We are rolling a bumper. We have recording turned on. We are streaming on all available platforms. And we have our guest waiting, and the chat room is waiting as well. We will switch to Studio 8. Let's count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, good evening and welcome to another edition, Tuesday night, pjnet.tv. I am so glad to be here. I don't know how we're going to outdo last night, but we are going to make every effort. A special thank you and hello to all the people in the pjnet.tv chat room. You are my heroes. Now, you might be watching this on Twitter. You might be watching this on Facebook. You might be watching this on YouTube. We send you a warm welcome, and we are so glad you are spending some of your time together with us. We do invite you to come join the live fellowship, pjnet.tv. If you have a desktop or a laptop, come meet some of the friendly folks over there. Now, in a moment, I will introduce our guest for tonight, a first-time guest. But before I do, I want to do a shout-out to one of our own in our family, Ben Cooper. Has secured a multi-million-dollar contract. He is actually going to be doing a speaking engagement, and we are just so proud of you, Ben. They picked the right guy for the job. Okay? All right, well, let's get started. Karen is with us. Karen Nolan. She is a first-time guest, and as I was speaking to her this afternoon, she's got quite a story to tell, and almost anything that I say to introduce her, it might be better if she said her story. Karen, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Well, from what you told me, things have not always been thus.
That's true.
You're a good old Southern gal that went up north, and you just got yourself in a world of hurt up there, didn't you?
I've kind of been in a world of hurt since the day I was born.
Well, you don't have that countenance about you now, but you've been through a lot. You're a survivor. Tell us your story, Karen.
Well, you can see that I'm not quite the young person I was. I also don't have the same accent that I grew up with, because I grew up with a hillbilly accent. And I write books about Appalachia. But when I was born in Appalachia, I really felt like I was born out of my time and out of my place. I didn't feel like I belonged at all. I didn't feel that I was loved and nurtured and cared about. And so I spent my younger days trying to plan a way to get out of there, to get out of those mountains and the coal fields, and to be a part of the world that I read about in books, all the excitement and the adventure. Well, I found out pretty quick that excitement and adventure is not quite what it's cracked up to be.
Well, you could have just joined the Marine Corps, Karen.
Well.
It might have been easier on you.
It might have been. Oh, goodness. But when I left, I went to college and got out of there. And the first exciting thing that happened to me that sent me in a new direction was a flood. We lost everything. And that was in 1977. And after that, I graduated from college and did the one thing I said I would never do. I went back home and taught music. And I found out quickly that that degree in education was not a smart one, because I did not enjoy teaching, especially when my students really didn't know how to read music, didn't understand what it meant to be in a band and to be like all the bands that I had seen perform in large cities.
Well, Karen, it could have been so much worse. You could have gone to the University of the People's Republic of Florida State and gotten 2 degrees, one in sociology and one in psychology. That's what
That
I did. And you talk about a waste of time. I opened up a sociology store and no one came in.
I can understand that. I was miserable as a teacher, and right before Christmas, my first year, I cried out to God and I said, I don't want to be here. This is not what I want to do. But if this is what you want me to do, I'll tough it out.
Mhm.
But this was my big mistake. Give me a sign. Less than an hour later, I was awakened by a man who lived above me in the apartment building telling me to get out of the building because my apartment was on fire. I barely got out and barely survived that because it was burning through the walls of my bedroom when he got me out. Then I thought, well, okay, I think that's kind of the answer to my question, the sign.
Yeah.
And maybe this is not what I'm supposed to be
Right.
doing. But then you kind of calm down when things calm down. You kind of think, well, maybe that's not really what God was saying. So I got in my car and started to go down to visit my parents on these curvy, squirrely roads. And I went around a curve, and there was one of my students in his car backing up in front of me. And I slammed on my brakes, and my car went out of control, and I went flying over the side of the mountain. Amazingly, my car went sideways and stopped on a tree that was just maybe 2 feet in diameter. And that's what kept me from going down the rest of the mountain. And then it was kind of obvious that I had to get out of there. So I resigned, and I thought, now what am I going to do? I don't know where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. I just know I don't want to be here, and I don't want to teach. So a friend called me up and forced me to go to auditions for summer stock theater because my degree was in music and theater. So I spent the summer doing summer stock in Flat Rock, North Carolina. By the end of the summer, the people I worked with, most of whom were living in New York the rest of the year, convinced me to come up there and go to school, learn a few things, and do some professional theater. And here I was, a hillbilly, going to New York City. I had never been out of the state of Kentucky hardly. And here I was going. And it was wonderful. I loved it. It's like New York was mountains, but they were different. So I enjoyed that actually. But I discovered that not everything works the way you think it's going to. And one night in February, I was on my way home from a Bible study, and someone attacked me and beat me and told me he was going to kill me. And he stole all my money, which wasn't much, but took everything and left me lying in the street bleeding. At the place where I was staying, the lady had a young son. And when I made it to the door and knocked on the door, he saw me and went into hysterics. After I got out of the hospital, she wouldn't allow me to come back into the house because I scared her son.
Mhm.
And that started homelessness in New York City.
Literally.
No place to live, homeless completely. I spent nights in some scary places. And eventually, through help of some friends, I found a place to stay that was being run by the Salvation Army. And it was for women who had jobs. And I moved there. Things started improving. I even joined the New York Choral Society, which was an exciting event because we performed at Carnegie Hall. So here I went from being homeless in New York to singing on stage at Carnegie Hall.
Now, how old are you at this point?
I was about 23.
Oh, okay, just getting started. Okay, well, just keep in mind we got about 10 minutes. So
Okay.
okay, trying to figure out how old are you now? Where are we on the line here? All right,
Part of it I can go through quickly.
okay.
And that is, unfortunately, feeling alone, depressed, sad, feeling like I wasn't quite doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I met a man and I married him. And I spent the next 34 years not doing the things that I felt God was telling me to do because they didn't fit into his plans. The husband's, not God's.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have a son, which was the biggest gift God gave me. I call him Awesome Son. He is amazing. But then, after all these years, my health deteriorated. Some people talk about a chronic illness. I had several, and I still do. Diabetes, heart disease. I have issues with bones. My back is in such bad shape that I can barely walk. I don't get to travel anymore. I can't walk very much. So I'm kind of stuck at home. So with all these people complaining about the pandemic and having to be in the house for a few months, hey, I've been living like this. I got it down.
This isn't the new normal for you. This is normal for you.
But in this marriage, the thing that changed was that I almost died. I went into heart failure, ended up in the hospital, came very close to death. And I had to choose whether I wanted to live or whether I just wanted to go home and let it all be over with. And God reminded me that he could not look at me and smile and say, "Good job, Karen," because I hadn't done what he told me to do all those years ago. So I decided to fight, and I came back. And as I grew, I realized that what God had been telling me to do all these years was to write. That was my first love. I spent my childhood in the front porch swing writing. This was what I needed to be doing. So I got onto Facebook. That was all new to me. And I started meeting people because I never really knew anybody before. I didn't have friends. I was stuck at home waiting in limbo. And when I started getting friends and things started looking up, suddenly my ex-husband was not happy that I was progressing.
Mm-hmm.
So he decided he didn't want to take care of me anymore and wanted me to leave. I thought it was the worst thing in my life. I didn't know how I was going to survive. What do I do for money? Because I couldn't work. I didn't know what I was going to do. But during all of that, I was reminded that God has always promised that he will never forsake me and that he will always take care of me and bring me through any situation. My health has continued to deteriorate. And there are days when I'm just not quite sure how much more I can take. But he gave me a job to do in the midst of all of that. And that happened to be on Facebook. And it's when things go wrong, I choose joy. And I always have my little stories about what's happening to me and what's going on. And then I always find joy. And that has turned into an amazing ministry for me. I am amazed at how many people contact me and thank me for showing them that no matter what's going on in their lives, they can choose joy. Because God always takes care of us. He always takes care of us. No matter how much pain we go through, it's not loss when we suffer. And so now I have completed my main goal in life that God showed me finally, and that's that I have finally published a book. And it's about Appalachia. And I am so excited because the process of writing the book and having it published in the midst of all of my struggles showed me that if he has a job, you can be sure you're going to have what it takes to complete that job. Don't give up. Never give up. Keep going and always look for the joy in every situation. So that's my great story and my struggles and my joy.
It sounds to me like Facebook was kind of a big turnaround for you, something you could
It
hold on to.
definitely it was.
Who were
And
some
it
of the
came at the right time.
who were some of the people that you kind of latched on to, as you look back, that kind of helped you through this?
Well, it started with old friends. All of my friends that I went to school with back in Appalachia and friends that I went to college with, we're now back together on Facebook. And they have been my biggest supporters. They have been with me and held me up and prayed for me and carried me through a lot of situations. And then I went to my first writers conference and I met people. And then I went to another one and met more people. And it became a huge family of people who are like me, that understand what I'm going through, that understand the process, and we lift each other up, support each other during the process. And that's how I met. Well, how I got published was by going to a conference, and my managing editor read my first pages and asked for my entire manuscript, and it led to my book being published. It's all of these little connections and the people that you meet, and you get to be a friend for them, and they get to be a friend for you. And it works together so well. It is the family of God, even though we're mostly just writers in this group. And I think it is fabulous that we have Facebook and that we're able to use it to build friendships and relationships. Even when I can't be with someone in person, I can be with them on Facebook. I can build them up, pray for them, give them guidance, and then they can give me guidance. And we need to all look for those little ways that we can help each other. and shore each other up and remind each other that God is there with us, carrying us along this trail and taking us where he wants us to be. And we don't have to worry about whether we're going to get published. If we're supposed to get published, we're going to get published. And nobody's going to stop God if that's what he's decided he wants for us. He will do it.
Karen,
and so we have to trust.
it sounds to me like you've been through hell, and you must have got kicked out for bootlegging ice water or something because you're back. And we appreciate you. Karen, that is an incredible story, and it is wonderful to know that there is a community of people out there, whether it be on Facebook, it might be here at pjnet.tv, but social media and the digital age that we are in makes it, and you are making the most out of that, and it's a wonderful testimony, and we thank you for, I mean, I thought I had it bad, but turns out I'm just fine, But thank you for sharing your story, Karen. God bless you, and keep up the good work, and we just pray for you, and we wish you the very best in your ministry as God leads you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my story.
That's what we do here. PJNet.TV, we provide the platform where ordinary, everyday Christians can share their walk with Christ. Thank you all. For those of you in the chat room, real quick, we got to go move quickly. Ben's here, Diane's here, Doug's here, Steve's here, JD's here, Kirby's here, first-time visitor. Thank you, Kirby, for joining us. Monty's here, Rachel's here, Star's here. There might be some, I might have missed some. Barbara's here. Oh, I'm here. Folks, in just a few moments, Del Didway is coming our way as he does every Tuesday night. He blogs at deldidway.com. Hope you've read his blog, but if you haven't, you're going to hear all about it. The red, white, and blue in remembrance of, in commemoration of, Flag Day. I bet he'll have a lot to say, and I have this to say before I leave. It's actually not something I'm going to say. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. And I would like you to ask these questions to yourself. The first question is this: what is the boldest thing you have ever done for Jesus Christ? The second question is this: exactly how long ago was that? The challenge for myself, and I hope that you'll accept it too, is to never be satisfied with either answer.